Hello, and welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast, episode 46. In this episode, I speak with musician Emmalee Rainbow. Emmalee and I had connected through social media, and this was our first conversation here on the podcast, and it was great. She has a music video out called Origin right now, and I have an even deeper appreciation of it after getting to know her and getting some of the behind-the-scenes story on leading up to her creating that video. So you're definitely going to want to check it out. I'm going to put the link in the description here. Definitely check out the podcast, get to know Emmalee, and it's a really cool project and can't wait to see what she does next. The book of the episode is going to be Slaughterhouse 5. I don't know if I've done book of the episode for this, but it was right here, and I just grabbed it because it's a great book. It's by Kurt Vonnegut. You want to talk a novel that's like a movie? This one right here. It is crazy. Like, strap in. That's all I have to say. I can't even explain it to you. Just your mind's going to go a bunch of different places. His writing is brilliant. It's a classic. Again, Slaughterhouse 5. By Kurt Vonnegut, book of the episode. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Emmalee. Emmalee Rainbow, welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
It's like the news at 9. Here we are. But no, thank you very much for coming on. This is a treat.
No, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I haven't done a podcast in a couple of years. So
really, so this is
I'm rusty.
Wow. Well, you've been out making music, it looks like.
Yeah, I've been making music. I haven't done a podcast since I've had music out. I don't think so. I've never discussed my music career. So this is a lot of pressure, not gonna lie.
So wait, we're getting to debut your music career here on this podcast right now.
Yeah. So you should feel very lucky.
Yeah, no, I do. No, I watched, well, let's just plug it now. It's called Origin or Origins is the music video.
Origins, I believe, is a lovely skincare brand.
Okay.
But Origin is my record. Yes.
Yeah. And it's really good. I really enjoy it. I watched it, more than once. And yeah, it's a different flavor, a different vibe, but I really like it. It's something unique. I hadn't seen something really like that. And it's one of those, I don't know, I feel like the more you watch it, the more little things you pick up on.
Yeah.
Some meanings and messages within it. So I thought, no, it's a great job. I mean, obviously by you, but then your whole team who put that together.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't have done it without like my friends and everyone. Like my sisters came to help. It was just really fun time shooting the music video. And like throughout the duration of the whole project, like from recording everything, my friends and family were there to help make it happen. So I'm proud of it. And again, thanks for the compliments on it. So
tell me, what's the story behind that one? How did that start? The song, from the beginning of you writing the song to you shooting that music video.
Just for the track Origin. I moved to New York from LA. I grew up in LA, and I moved to New York in January of 2021. And it was during COVID. It was winter, and I had a horrible few months. I got really sick. I was planning this virtual music festival thing all by myself, which was just a lot of stress. And I really missed home and was having a horrible time. So I started writing a song about LA, and that kind of like snowballed into being about my childhood and to being about my family and like the generations of artists that I've come from. And it just kind of, I think I wrote the bass line first for that song, and it sort of just all folded together within like a couple weeks. So it took me a while to write that song. And then I fled New York in, I think, May. And I came back home. I was like, this is not the time for me to be in New York. I just can't face it right now. And I went straight to the studio and put it down with my co-producer, Sejo Navajas, who produced a lot of my grandmother's music. She was a musician as well. And I kind of grew up in that studio, so it was really special to make this there because that is what it is all about. And then I worked with Kai Baldwin to do the music video. I did the storyboard myself over a few months. Everything was pretty drawn out, and it all took a while to get together, which I think is a good thing about being an independent artist. You can kind of just take things in your own time. We shot the video edited it, and now it's out for everybody to see. And that's the story.
How does it feel to go from that moment of you have this just idea to actually executing all of that, of what you just said, and then like you just boom, it's here?
Yeah, it's not what I expected. I visualized how it would feel to have music out and have a music video out for a long, long time. And I thought it would be like this big feeling of like accomplishment and, oh, my work here is done. And I feel like very protective over my work still. Like the fact that people are
Mm.
watching it, I still am very hesitant. I feel a need to give a warning before anyone watches it or listens to it instead of just letting it exist on its own merit. Um, it's different, but it's a good feeling. I feel accomplished for sure.
Remind me, I don't know if it was Rick Rubin or or Picasso. I can't. Some artist of some kind said like, your job as the artist is to create it, but then once that's created, your job's done. Like
Yeah.
it's up to the people to interpret it to be whatever it is. Like
Totally.
you've done your part. Now it's there for the world to interpret it as however they do.
No, that's so true. And I'm really lucky that I've had like the feedback that I've gotten. Um, I feel like everyone is just like really artistically aware these days because we're having so many artists come to the forefront of the scene who are like really abstract, and they have, people are starting
Mm.
to it's palatable now. So
Mm.
when people see my work, which isn't necessarily, extremely pop forward, I was expecting there to be a lot of pushback on that, but everyone's really like gotten what I was trying to say. I'm like, oh, maybe it wasn't that abstract. Everyone's understood it.
Yeah, you picked really good. I thought really good shots too, like really good scenes, really good. It just all blended together very nicely.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work and deliberation and like specifics. So there was a lot of work put into that project.
And I'll tell you how I know it's a good song because it gets stuck in your head. The more you listen to it, the more it's like you keep it's so that's no it's a great piece of work. You should be very proud of that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it's one of those songs that once it was done, I never wanted to hear it again. I was like, I'm so sick of it from hearing it over and over and over in the studio. I'm like, I'm no longer interested. I've moved on.
So I mean, taking it back to get your background. So you grew up in LA? Did you grow up in Los Angeles?
Hmm.
And you
Yeah, I
come
was.
from a family of artists, you said.
Yes. Oh, yes. I was born in Nashville. Came to LA. My family came to LA when I was like 3 or 4, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and I was signed with an agent who's still my commercial agent today, Kendall Park, who I love. Um, I was signed with him like almost immediately after we got to LA. I don't really know how it happened. I should probably ask that story. Um, and I started booking commercial work. I became union with SAG, and I just started acting. I was just a little child star. But yeah, my grandmother was a musician. She was mostly popular in Australia. And she was, I think, the first female recording artist to record with the Bee Gees, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, she opened for the Beatles at one point. So like yeah,
Legit.
she's legit. Um, so she inspired me a lot when it comes to music, but that wasn't it wasn't really innate to me when I was like super young. I know that a lot of musicians got their start. They're like, oh, I started playing drums when I was 3. That was not how it worked for me. I was an actress until I was 13 or 14. I was a celebrity chef somewhere in between all of that. So it's been a lot of bouncing around from one artistic project to the other, but I think I've found my thing for life.
Well, we're getting back to that celebrity chef thing. Don't let that slip by, because I want to hear about that. So, okay, acting. So when did the music start? When was that moment when you're like, I'm going to try music out. I'm going to do this here.
Yeah, music was always there in the sense that I like loved it. I remember like listening to music as far back as 4 years old, and I would actually visualize music videos in my head, which is still something I do today. And like, how would I direct this? Um, so it was always there, but I didn't start writing music till I was want to say 13 or 14. I didn't play any instruments. And it was when I really started to get into like indie rock bands like Best Coast and Always with two V's, that I like started to want to play that music myself and write. Because, you know, all those teenage feelings come up and you've got to put them somewhere.
Hmm. Now that you're doing on the music train, how do you, I don't know, can you really, is there one that you're liking more than the other? Are you preferring music now over doing acting? Or is it kind of just two different art forms and they're their own thing?
No, I love acting in like when I get to actually be doing it, but acting doesn't feel like something I can do on my own merit. I feel like I really have to rely on other people for that.
Yeah.
And music I can do anytime, anywhere, and it's something that's completely mine. So like, you know, acting's great. I love films. I love TV. I watch a lot of TV. I write my own stuff, but it's just, it doesn't give me the same rush. And like, I feel nauseous because of how much I love music sometimes. Like, that's how I know that it's what I think was born to do.
Yeah, honestly, that's my biggest passion too, is music. I mean, and I was watching this interview, I can't remember who it was, but he said it in a way I'd never heard anyone word it before. Like, and it's a guy I think that's pretty successful too, but he said, music is literally a way to explore your own consciousness, if not for anyone else, but for yourself.
Yeah.
So like when you're describing like constantly seeing these music videos and then going into, you know, it's great that you can share that. Hopefully some people like it, but really it's for you at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's been really important for me as like a young woman, just because I personally have a lot of trouble like expressing my emotions, and saying what I want to say. There's a family joke that's Emmalee didn't get hurt, because when I would fall when I was little, I would not cry. I'd stand up and say, I didn't get hurt. I didn't get hurt. So that's something I've kind of carried into my adult life. And music is the one place where I can show that I got hurt, you know? It feels safe.
Yeah. Yeah. And right now you're pushing, you have a couple other songs too, I notice on your website as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plans to shoot music videos for any of those, or?
I would love to. I have concepts for them. I don't know if it's in the cards currently, due to time and budgetary restrictions.
Of course.
That's just being an indie artist.
Yeah.
But like, I don't feel like I'm done with Origin yet.
Right.
I feel like there's more for me to say about it. So we'll see.
Well, and you know, it seems like that is the way a lot of people go, is you just get that one single, shoot that video and just market the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Even for like a year. People do it for years out of that one. You know, it's a classic whenever a music artist, quote unquote, blows up, you know, to some people they're hearing it for the first time, but that artist has been working for years leading up to that point to get you to hear that song or to find that music video, you know?
No, yeah, it's funny because like, you know, I'm talking about, you know, to my team, whatever, about what I want to put out next. And I almost feel like I'm going backwards because I had like a whole full album written before I even thought about Origin. But that felt like the right thing for me to put out as a debut. That was like, I think, the correct vehicle to present myself to the world as an artist.
And you said you were, when you were in New York, you were doing a virtual music festival you were putting together today. So what was that about?
That was called Music Men's. And I was just sort of feeling really helpless about the whole COVID crisis. I was reading numbers about how LGBTQ plus people were impacted by the virus compared to other communities. And I was just like, I've got to do something to help. And I organized a benefit concert benefiting Stonewall Community Foundation. They do a lot of great work. So I partnered with them. I did a set myself. Everything was online. So I had artists like record their own little sets, and then we edited it all together. Ezra Furman played, Elliot Sumner, Bleached, one of my favorite bands ever, Bleached, played. So that was a dream come true, but very hard work for me because I did almost everything.
That's amazing. But you put it together. You put it on.
I did. Yeah.
Wow. That's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you so much. It's something I'm still really proud of, and I kind of can't believe it happened.
Will you do it again?
Yes, with more assistance next time. A little bit more help, and then yes, maybe. But no, it was very exciting.
It is. I mean, as tragic as COVID is, obviously, it is amazing though, like what things came out of it creatively from certain people. Like I remember within week 1, and I know a lot of us artists and actors, everyone went to Instagram because like no one knew, we were all home. We didn't know what to do. So everyone's doing monologues and playing songs.
Yeah.
People you didn't know played the guitar were playing the guitar. Like, I had no idea this dude played the guitar. He's pretty good. But
I know.
But like comedians were like one of the first two. Like, I mean, they started doing like online comedy shows like within the week. We're doing online stand-up comedy. So that's very interesting what you said, like you putting that together. I think that's pretty creative. That's pretty cool that you did that.
Thank you. No, I think COVID was, it like really shined a light on just how important art is. Like when the whole world comes to a stop, art's what keeps you going. When you're sitting at home on your couch and you can't go anywhere, you're watching TV with your family, you're listening to music, playing instruments, painting. I painted a lot during COVID. I even taught virtual paint lessons.
That's awesome.
It was a crazy time. It's still not really over, but I mean, like the quarantine, it was, it was rough.
Isn't it? You know, it's like I feel like, yeah, no, we're still in it. Like it's like this weird. I was at the bank. You know, you say, hey, this is my rent for blah blah, and I'm like, man, hard to believe it's July 2022 or August 2022, and the guy's just like, yeah, man, honestly, the past two and a half, it just all blends together at this point. I'm like, yeah, because it feels like Grayson, who was on the last podcast or one of the last podcasts, said it still feels like 2019 was like less than a year ago.
I say it all the time. I'm like,
it's like 2019 and now.
it all blended together. It's a very strange, unnatural thing, but I think, you know, we're handling it pretty well as a society, I think. Question mark?
Yeah, I think it exposed a lot of weaknesses in so many different areas, but at the same time, it also exposed a lot of greatness as well. Like you're saying, like with the arts and everything, because you're right. Yeah, one of my actor friends posted that something similar. He's like, remember what you all went to during this time. You went to Netflix, you went to music, you went to all these things for an outlet during some of the lowest times. So it shows really how important art is, you know?
Very true.
And I'm going to have more questions about art and stuff. I want to know about this celebrity chef stuff. Tell me about that.
Where do I begin? So when I was like, I want to say 6, I started really liking cooking shows. I remember I would come home from school, grab a snack, sit on the couch, and just like watch until I had to go to sleep. And I never did my homework. I was a horrible student because I just wanted to cook. My dad was a chef, and he just taught me a bunch of, you know, like the classics, scrambled eggs. Like he wasn't trying to make me into a culinary artist. He was just trying to show me how to like feed myself. And I got really obsessed with it, specifically with baking. I would watch like YouTube videos when, you know, YouTube was beginning, all those cooking tutorials and stuff. And I would just want to cook all the time. And this opportunity presented itself for a show called Man vs. Child Chef Showdown, which was a like kids cooking competition. And I was like freaking out. I was like, this has been my dream forever. I used to bring my friends over to the house and like do fake competitions with them, like Chopped and stuff like that. So I was in awe. I was stunned, and I had to do this. So I auditioned. I think I got it after just like 1 or 2 callbacks. I was just so excited. And I did 2 seasons of that, which I know you'll Google after this. And it was a good time. I still can't believe it happened.
So what age are you when you're doing this?
Oh, I should have established that. I think I started at 11 and we were wrapped by like 14. I did the pilot when I was 11.
That was a 3-year stretch there.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was completely my life for a while. And like I still cook a lot, and it's something I'm incredibly passionate about. I think that people try to make you into just one thing and make you choose. Um, the truth is, I'll be a chef for the rest of my life and a musician, and those things will always coexist with each other.
Cooking definitely is an art form, and I'm nowhere near the level of you, I'm sure. But you do improve. The more you do it, you do get better, and you do figure out, okay, this works with that, or you try, oh, that didn't work too good. Let me do this next time. And it is fun to like start piecing it all together and trying different combinations, and go, what if I put a little bit of ginger in here? What if I, whatever,
No,
whatever,
100%.
you know?
And it's fun because it's something that you can share with others. That's like accessible, it's quick, it brings people together, and there's infinite combinations of things you can make. Yeah, I love it. I love cooking and baking.
I mean, I'm sure you can make several things. Is there any go-to meal?
Yeah, people ask me
Favorite
that a
thing?
lot.
Uh-huh.
I'm never sure what to say. I should have this answer rehearsed by now, but I've been doing risotto lately. I
Oh,
never
okay.
used to do risottos, and I did a mushroom one pretty recently. But I bake more often than I cook. I'll do like a chocolate souffle at midnight. My brother-in-law and my sister, they're aware of that. Like if they hear me in the kitchen at 11, they're like, "Are you making a souffle?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's
Yeah.
one of those late night craves. um, I've started doing pizzas too. I feel like
Oh.
I've gone back to basics in a
Mm.
way. But yeah, those are the go-tos.
Yeah, it's funny. Most people are like making some microwave stuff or whatever, like late at night. You're like, oh, I'm just baking it. Don't worry about me. I'm just.
Don't worry. Just the classic French technique. Um,
Yeah.
no, I'll microwave stuff during the day. It's at late at night when I get my boost. I'm like, I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna start off with this souffle, and then the dishes pile up, and I'm like, why did I do that?
Dishes never end. That's a whole other conversation right there. Those, even me, I'm like, how did I go through this many dishes in one day? And,
I know.
but
It's
no,
depressing. It's very depressing.
no pain, no gain. And I'm sure during COVID, I don't know if you cooked more during COVID. I think a lot of people did because we
Yeah.
didn't really go out to eat.
Yeah. I
As
cooked a
much.
lot during COVID, and I started, like everybody, started doing sourdough, naturally leavened breads. Um, I think I got pretty good at that. People really seemed to like my sourdough, and I would drop it off at my friends' doors and just like leave and ring the doorbell, and they'd be like,
Ah,
what is this?"
I love sourdough. Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, dropping it off at the door. What type was it? The fermented sourdough? How did you make it? Like, what was the
Yeah,
exact?
I made my own starter. So I would do like, it's really cool. You do like different mixture of different flours and water, and then you'd feed it every day with flour and water, and it would like grow and bubble. Her name was Sadie, my starter, but she died when I went to New York. We had to
Oh.
we had to flush her down the drain because I was moving. I mean, I could have kept her, but I was trying to focus on, moving, so it didn't work out.
And going off of the gram, I can see you're pretty well traveled. Did you go to Europe recently, or are those?
Yes, I'm not well traveled at all.
Okay.
I'm just recently traveled,
Well, it
which
shows you
is
the power of Instagram.
right. People look at my Instagram, they're like, "Oh, she has a perfect life." This was my
Jet
first
setter. Yeah.
time. No, first time ever leaving the country. I'm
Wow.
20. I had never been out of the country. I went with my brother and sister, and I have very crippling anxiety, especially about flying. So it was crazy that I was able to do it, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I did. And the food was phenomenal. I went to Madrid. I went to Rome, Paris, and London, and it was very exciting. Very good stuff.
Well, I'm envious because I was telling my girlfriend too, like next summer, that's a trip I've been wanting to do for a very long time. Like I feel like that's one of those you have to go
Oh
experience
yeah,
that.
have you ever been to Europe?
No,
Oh, you
never
got to
been.
go. Everyone's in Europe right now. It's very strange, but I would say don't go during the summer because it was so hot I couldn't breathe or enjoy anything.
Oh, I don't want that. So when should I go? When my girlfriend and I go, when should we go?
My other sister went with her now husband, I want to say February. And they were like, it was a bit chilly, but like everything was empty. There were no lines for anything in Rome. Like they really enjoyed their time there. So I'd say just go during off season. It's more affordable, less crowds, less people there.
Okay, so their summer is our summer then. Like it's.
I mean, yes, but not weather wise.
Huh.
Like no, forget what I said. No, their summer's not our summer. I don't think. I didn't take geography. Don't listen to me, but go in like February, January.
What was your favorite place when you went over there? Where was it at?
Probably Rome. I was expecting it to be Paris, but Rome was just incredible. The food, oh my God, blew my socks off. I loved it.
And then you went to Madrid, Spain. I heard Spain is definitely a place I want to go. I heard, like, just going off hearsay, they said it's a different vibe. It's way more laid back. People are way more relaxed and not like the typical American work.
It's like a different world. I was taken aback by how quiet Madrid was. Like, you would sit in a restaurant and it'd be like silence and some birds, and then a car goes by and I'm like, what's everybody doing? Cigarettes are everywhere. So if that bothers you, definitely keep that in mind. No, Madrid was really cool. I went there because my sister was studying Spanish. So she had been there for, I think, like 6 weeks, and I flew in and crashed her Airbnb, and we had a fun week together. Super cool city.
Yeah, and then compare it to New York. See, New York's another place I haven't been, which is crazy. I should have been. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. As soon as I moved to LA 4.5 years ago, and have you heard of Playhouse West acting school?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
So that's where I went out here, and there's a pretty big community, but I met a lot of people, and it seemed like people were splitting time between New York and LA like crazy. Like, it's kind of like peanut butter and jelly. It's like a lot of people were talking about, like, oh yeah, I'll be in New York next week, and oh yeah, I live in New York part-time. So what's that New York experience like from your perspective? Obviously, you lived in it during COVID. Did you ever live in it pre-COVID?
Yeah, my family, my mom has an apartment there. So we would go there. I think when I was like 14 is when it started. We would go there just like for a month or so, even less than that, just for summer break, whatever, and just visit. But I didn't live there like full time, and bring all my belongings until that January time. I'd say it's a lot closer to a European lifestyle. I was actually surprised by how similar a lot of Europe was to New York. But a very, very hustling lifestyle. Just restaurants everywhere, so much culture, so much diversity. I think it is the greatest city in the world, but LA is home. So I like to split between the two.
Well, I guess one thing people tell me about New York, what's nice, you don't really need a car is really an inconvenience there, right? I mean,
yeah,
you're going to walk or take transport somewhere, where LA is kind of you need a car. You're
right.
going to have to have a car most places.
Yeah, my aunt lives in New York, and she has a car there, and it's it's convenient if someone's driving you and then leaves, because I don't know, I'm kind of a germaphobe. I love to be in my own space, so like to be in our own car is nice. But yeah, it's not the same as here, where you have to have a car to be a human being. Some of my friends still don't drive
here in LA.
Like, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get how they're.
What do they do?
People.
They take Ubers,
right?
Or?
No, I guess Ubers. They're like friends pick them up and drive them. I'm like they don't have their license. It's shocking.
Yeah, because like usually when you turn, it's 16 out here, right, in California? 16. Like that's the first thing you want to do.
Yeah, I got mine kind of late. I didn't get mine till I was 18, but I had my reasons.
Although I can't now that I see, I come from a town of like 20,000 people out in the middle of nowhere. So then it was a little bit, I can understand waiting out here just with the craziness of traffic, and it can be pretty intense. So I could see
Oh
that.
yeah. No, like if you can learn to drive in LA, you can drive anywhere.
Oh yeah, I remember. It's like, it's funny now because now I'm just expected to drive 40. My minute, like, oh, everywhere's going to take 40 minutes for me to get to. But now it doesn't even phase me. I don't even think about it.
Yep. No, same. Turn on a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yep. Listen to your debut music podcast right here.
Right. Yep. Just listen to it over and over again and be like, why did I say that?
Yeah, and I'm curious, since you grew up out here in Los Angeles, how has the city evolved from your perspective, from your growing up when you're younger to where it's at now?
Ooh. I think it's become a lot more superficial with like I don't want to like badmouth influencers because I feel like in a way I am an influencer. like, um, but there's just kind of this vibe throughout the city where it feels like everything is for the gram or for TikTok. And maybe it's just because I didn't have social media growing up, but like I didn't notice that anywhere. Everything felt a lot more authentic. Um, but things always change. I still love LA, and it's always been the place for oddballs to come and find, their people. So that's just what's happening right now with YouTubers and TikTokers and Instagrammers. It's just I feel like everything will balance itself out.
The balance of the influencer. Yeah, I know what you mean, and you're right. I mean, there's different eras for different things, but um, shoot, I go down to Beverly Hills for work a lot, and I mean, it's summertime too, so it's tourist season. This and this, everyone is just it's
Yeah,
their phones and taking pictures of this and that, and it's like we really have. I know, like, I've been guilty of it too in the past, but I feel like we're just so be in the moment, like actually enjoy the actual moment. But I think a lot of
yeah.
people just want to make it look like they had this great moment and then tell you about it on social media.
I know it's
Yeah.
it's sad, and that's something I have worked really hard on to get out of the habit of, especially because I was so young handling my own social media accounts with like the cooking show and everything, for example. I just felt like I was living to be a commodity and living for Instagram photos and stuff. And like
Mm.
I think I've finally broken the habit. Like through all of Europe, I really didn't take a whole lot of photos. I was kind of just looking um with my eyeballs. I don't know if I've gotten lazy. I don't know what changed for me, if it's just growing up, but I care so much less about all that stuff now. And I think it shows in my social media. I put a lot less effort into it. My followers are probably like, what's her deal? Why isn't she giving us good stuff anymore?
I really like what you said there. Not trying, or people are living to be a commodity. That's so true. That's so
Yeah.
true. Yeah, I know what you mean about Los Angeles, and I guess the stereotypical term people always use is superficial of some of it. But I mean, as an artist, I mean, I was always just drawn to this place growing up in the Midwest. Like, just this is the place you went to. Like, literally, you
Yeah.
can be anything you want. And what I
Right.
like most about LA, I was telling someone this, I like how you can come here to be what you want and absolutely no one judges anyone for it. It's like totally cool. Whatever you want to be, pursue, and do, no one thinks twice or thinks it's out of the ordinary to do.
Yeah.
What do you think as someone who grew up here?
Yeah. I think growing up here is a very different, like, I feel like I kind of have this rose colored view of everything because I didn't have to fight for my right to create art. I was kind of plopped into it, and I was raised with the idea that this is not only okay to do, but it's actually preferable to do. It's what everyone else in your life is doing. Um,
Mm.
so that upbringing, I think, really affected me, and I don't know how my artistic you know, just those natural instincts I had would have come up if I hadn't grown up in this town and in the family that I grew up in. Not everyone in LA is an artist, but most of us are. Yeah, just I don't think that the town is intrinsically superficial, and I don't think that it's a bad thing that everyone is here to make it. I think that it's actually beautiful, and in its roots, like LA is just about people chasing their dreams, like whatever that may be. So I love it here, and I love the people here.
I love what you just said. And that's really, I would like to explore, like you just said, you were in an environment where art was actually encouraged, where so many people, the art is not that people tell you don't do it, but you got to go make money. You got to go find a career. You got to go. It's that thing that people say gets in the way of things, or that's
Yeah.
your time. So for you to grow up in that environment in a city where no, go do this, go create that. That's amazing. That's a gift right there.
It is. It absolutely is a gift, and I'm really conscious of that, and I try to be grateful for it. But it, of course, comes with its like, its bad side, like everything does, because artistic work is really hard work. Like just auditioning alone is, especially for a young person, I think it affected me very deeply on an emotional level that I wasn't aware of until very recently. And that's kind of how Origin came about, because it's surrounding that idea of, okay, what does it look like for the child star that didn't necessarily make it, for the kid who sat at auditions for the Disney Channel, for Nickelodeon, who didn't get picked. What does that do to their mind? Because we see, what happens to child stars when they grow up and they're speaking out about, the trauma they faced when they were young, and that's amazing. But there's another side of it as well that I think we really need to be speaking up for kids in the business. I think it's an important conversation that needs to be had, because that stuff stays with you for life. Being rejected at that age is a lot to face.
Yeah, and that's really. I want, if you don't mind, dive a little more into growing up, be like as a child actor, because I started dabbling into when I got closer to 30, and it's like you're right, the rejection is insane, but when you're older, it's a little bit different. You have a little more stability within yourself and have been through different things, and it's still brutal regardless.
Yeah.
And but yeah, as a child going through that, especially because I'm sure a lot of it's funny when I'm out here talking to people, and I'm like, especially when I was in the acting school and everything, when I first moved out here, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm in this acting school, and I'd be talking, they're like, oh yeah, I did that like 15 years ago. Like the people that grew up out here, like, oh yeah, everyone does it. Like everyone that grew up out here dabbled. Yeah, just what, and they'll be like, no, it wasn't for me. But yeah, I did play.
That's so funny.
Monologues. They're like, I did all that. Like I did. I'm like, really?
You're so, like, man, I'm just getting started.
Yeah, so exactly. Funny. Exactly. Like, man, oh yeah, I did that for years. Yeah, no, I don't know. I want to be a dentist.
Right. Now I'm a stockbroker.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what age did you really start acting? When did you really start getting into the business?
4 was when I booked my first commercial. So like, I honestly don't remember a time in my life where I didn't do it, which is why I don't feel that like it was never something I woke up and I was like, I want to be an actor. Right. Because I was 4 years old. That's not to say I blame my family in any way. I was an odd kid in the sense that I really was a performer, and I have always been kind of mature in the way I speak and carry myself. And I don't mean to say that like, look at me, look how great I am. It's just kind of the way I was an old soul in a little kid's body. So it was the perfect match for that career. And in a lot of ways, I'm super grateful for, the people I got to work with, for the way it set me up in case I did want to pursue acting for the rest of my life, which like I still do. I audition. It's just not, you know, my main thing right now. You know, financially it set me up great. Like there were a lot of perks, and in general it was a positive experience, but there's of course that lasting, you know, okay, well, what am I without this? That I think I'm only now starting to kind of unpack and understand as I move into adulthood.
Mm. Yeah, man, that's deep. That has me thinking on some stuff.
We took a turn into the dark stuff.
Well,
It's that hour.
now we're in the therapy session. We got all the business taken care of. We'll shout out everything again at the end. But yeah, you know, it's like
Enough of the small talk.
yeah,
Let's really get into it.
Let's get down to business now. That is interesting because yeah, as a childhood actor, you know, because they teach you when you're older as an actor, at least from my experience, the more you know who you are, the better it's going to be knowing what you can bring to the role or what roles are going to be good to you. But as a childhood actor, I mean, you don't even know what to think in terms of you're just living, right?
Right. That's what, like, I wasn't out there doing Shakespeare at 4. Like, I did like commercials, you know, was myself, which is why I think it worked because I was not a normal kid. Yeah. And I really started having trouble auditioning when I got to like, I think like 10 or 11. There's kind of that awkward age that a lot of child actors go through because you're kind of starting to go, oh, okay, I need to actually bring some talent to this. I'm not just cute anymore. So I started to get really in my head. I started developing a lot of anxiety. I'm, like I stated before, I think I'm a fairly anxious person. And that was just the time where I started to not have a good experience with it. So I really did not want to audition. I was pressuring my family just to kind of let me stop. And they were like, well, let's just do a couple more auditions. Let's just see. And now I'm 20 and I'm still doing it. So, so it never really stopped. But in a lot of ways, I'm glad that it didn't stop because I'm happy now that I'm in the mental space that I am. I still have the opportunity to go out and do it and meet people. So.
Well, it's very I appreciate you sharing in depth like this because now your music video now becomes more and more prevalent and more. And I'm like, oh, okay, now it's really starting to fill in.
You cracked the code. Yeah, a lot of stuff in that video is just like an inside joke between like the dog is just one big inside joke between. I mean, do you recognize that dog, the orange dog?
Okay, I wanted to bring up that. Well, first of all, that was in Beverly Hills, right? You did that scene.
Yeah.
Well, I just love that you did that, I just love that.
Right.
That wasn't from Nickelodeon, was it?
It wasn't. It's
okay.
From a casting office in LA on La Brea, 200 South.
Okay.
Have you ever been there?
No.
So I grew up auditioning there, and they had these these orange dog sculptures that all the child actors would sit on and play on. And I would always kind of watch them and be like, silly kids. We're supposed to be working, preparing for our scenes. I'd be running my sides with my older sister like, oh, I can't believe these children playing on these dogs. So when I wrote, they're not like me in this business. Yeah, so when I started writing Origin, I was trying to think like, okay, what do I want this to look like from a visual perspective? Like, how can I make this palatable? How do I want to deliver it to people? And the dog popped in my head. I was like, what better way to encapsulate my childhood than having that dog as a mascot? Which to everyone else, it's contemporary art. They're like, okay, cool. But to me, to actors in LA who've been to that studio, to my friends, to my family, it's like, oh, I get what she's saying.
And I hope you don't mind. I don't want to spoiler alert, but go check out the music video, Origin. So now that I'm getting to know you and I'm learning all, so the hugging the little girl at the beach, is that
Yeah,
you hugging your past self? At least that's how I'm interpreting it now.
you interpreted it right. I want everyone to have their own interpretation, but yes, that is how I wrote it. The little girl is me. And something weird and interesting that I've begun to experience is like when I watched the video, when I was, in the editing process, picking scenes and stuff, I started to actually kind of understand what I was saying more. I feel like this video kind of made itself. I feel like the whole record kind of made itself in a lot of ways. And the more that I listened to it, the more that I, talk to people in interviews and stuff about it, I'm still discovering stuff to this day. So yes, that is what I meant with the young girl.
It's blowing my mind more than I'm thinking, because this is really like, this music video is like a beginning of a new stage of your life almost. But like, it took everything in your life leading up to make this video. Like the music video has a lot of meaning behind it. You just didn't go out and shoot a bunch of, hey, LA,
Right.
live in Los
Right.
Angeles, just sing your, but no, there's a lot of deep, powerful meaning behind it. So I think that's really cool that you were able to construct a project like this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It felt necessary for me, and I think that it's a good thing, like I said, to have that out first, and kind of to just introduce me to the world as a musician. Like, okay, this is the kind of stuff I'm going to be making. I doubt you'll ever see me, doing bubblegum pop and singing just about boys. Like, no, there's anything wrong with that. I love that. It's just not the artist that I am. I'm really, really particular about like abstraction, and all my friends and family, they say I'm super pretentious, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm just here to make what I want to make. If you think that's pretentious, then so be it. But I count on people in my life to keep me sane. And they tease me. They're like, that's ridiculous. No one's gonna understand the dog.
Well, if they listen to this podcast, then they will.
You bastards, I proved you wrong.
So as far as the acting, so acting's kind of like, you've been in it a long time. It's been a bread and butter for you to some extent. You're always going to stay involved with it to some extent.
I think so. I don't know if I know how to live without it. But yeah, the truth is, like, it's kind of in a way all I've ever known. And I know that it's such a huge dream to a lot of people, but it kind of feels like my day job. Like, it feels like what I do to support myself to make music and stuff like that. So it's just this weird view I have of the whole thing. But I feel really lucky for the work that I've gotten to do. And, I'd love to get more into maybe film. I've done commercial and TV a lot my whole life, but I haven't done movies very much. So I'd like to try to do that.
Well, and you want to make movies, make more. I mean, you made your music video. You directed that. Really?
I did. I guess that kind of does count.
You made a movie. That's really what it is. Especially that music video. That music video is a movie. Like, that you made a movie.
We uncovered it. The true meaning behind it. I just wanted to make a movie this whole time. That was it. I'm kind of like writing a feature with my little brother, and it started as kind of a joke, and now we're just kind of obsessed with the feeling it gives us as we uncover, like, oh my gosh, what if the story could go this way? So that's been really a fun bonding experience with him, and maybe we'll make it someday. Who knows? I'm a huge comedy fan, huge Saturday Night Live fan, like very big nerd when it comes to comedy. So, like, in that sense of acting, I don't really think of like improv and comedy as acting, I guess, but I definitely want to get into that more.
It's interesting. Yeah, acting for you is just like a day job, where everyone out here is working day jobs trying to make acting their.
I know, it's weird. Very strange.
But I mean, that's the, and I say consequence not as a bad thing, but just it is the consequence of you grew up out here and got in it really early. So I mean, a lot of us moved here later in life, where you had a huge head start. and you're just kind of in it. So I mean, it's not a bad position to be in.
No, sorry everybody. Sorry to steal your roles. But no, I have a unique perspective for sure on the whole thing. So I'm really mindful of like, how I word things and stuff like that, because I want to get it across as authentically and honestly to people as possible, like how my experience has been. So I hope I don't offend anybody when I'm like, oh yeah, acting, it's nothing. Like I know it's everything to a lot of people. I was joking with my friends the other day because everyone I know is kind of an artist and child actor. Like I grew up in that network with all my school friends and stuff. We kind of had the same experiences. And I was just joking with them the other day. Like, I love how our whole friend group was a bunch of like 19 and 20-year-old has-beens. We're like, oh yeah, I had a series regular spot back when I was 12, it's been really tough booking since then. And I'm like, we're so strange. What a weird little life we've led.
That's a show right there. That's a show. The group
Are
of
you
18,
steal
19, 20-year-olds. Look, you can have it. I'm not going to put in the time for it right now, but no. It's like, yeah, that'd be totally, yeah, I had this back in my glory days when I was 9, like I had this and this show.
God. No, I'm going to turn on Netflix in like 2 years time. And that's going to be on there with you on the cover. And I'm like, that bastard stole my idea. But run with it. Write me a role. And
no, I'll put you in it, of course. Yeah, right. So where do you, I mean, you've cooked, you've done music, you've acted. You said you were teaching painting. That's a whole other topic. Where do you draw inspiration? Do you read books? Do you read books at all?
I do read a lot of books. Okay. I'm listening to music constantly, especially jazz. Like my mom knows this about me. I have jazz playing in the house at all times, just in the background. So I'm constantly listening to music. I'm taking in, other people's content, other people's work, to sort of mold my own. But, of course you have to be really wary about copying things, because I pretty often I'll be listening to a song, listening to music in my car, and then I'll get to my house and I'll pick up my guitar and I'll write something. I'm like, this is brilliant. Oh my God, I've just written a hit. And I realize it's the song I was listening to in the car. So that's something I've got to really be mindful of. I'll listen to a demo that I do over and over and over again. I'm like, am I sure this isn't a Dave Matthews song? Am I positive? So, yeah.
So you draw inspiration from a variety of sources.
Oh, yeah. Movies, books, music, art as well. I love going to art museums and just kind of sitting, seeing what I feel.
Yeah, you grew up in a great place for that.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I have access to so much, just so much diversity and culture in art, and also the nature in California. Yeah. I get a lot of inspiration from like just going to the beach. I instantly am like, oh, I can feel the art just moving through my bloodstream. And I have a phenomenal network of friends and family who inspires me to write a lot. Like, I just feel like I'm surrounded by a lot of smart people who bring things up, philosophically. And I'm like, that'll be a great song. So essentially it's plagiarism. And I just listen to whatever my friends say. And I'm like, I'm going to make a song out of that.
Keep talking, Joe. Yeah. What was that again? Yeah, sure. That was a great perspective. Say it. Can you say that one more time for me?
That was a good line. Yeah. Just off the record.
No, I agree with you. I've said this a couple times. I consider my wealth to be my network in terms of just the friendships and conversation. I mean, really, this podcast, I just really like having these conversations. Like, I would have this conversation with you in a parking lot. Like,
totally.
You know what I mean?
That's not creepy. It's all good.
No. Well, even like I was saying, like another thing about LA I really like is, not that you don't get this in other cities, because you can, but here I just feel like so many people are more like-minded. So to just go off the cuff and to start talking about different levels of consciousness or artistic exploration, it's like a normal conversation for some people out here. Like you'll end up talking
Yeah.
for like an hour and a half.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Oh yeah.
so
My best friend Sloan Siegel is really philosophical, and he can go really in depth with stuff, and I sometimes can have trouble opening up about those kind of things, but like he really can go deep, and it's opened my world to a lot of other stuff. So hey Sloan, if you're listening.
when it's because like I said this on a podcast a couple times ago, like I feel like we're all on these individual journeys. And when we do connect and have conversations and connect on certain ideals, it's like everything stops, like all the stresses, all the worries, all the things, little mundane things. And you're like, whoa, like time. And then you're like connected with this person. And whether you believe in past lives and all that, it's a whole other conversation. But you feel this connection and you feel like, oh, I'm not alone. Like there's
Totally.
other people that, and maybe they think it differently than me, but like it's kind of the same at the same time. And it's like, it's reassuring. And then those conversations end and it's like, all right, you're going to go on your way. I'm going to go on mine. But maybe we'll come back again. And it's just, I don't know. I just feel like this city is a great place. You mentioned, philosophy earlier. I was telling someone earlier back in like the Socrates and all those philosopher days, I would have been right there with them. I would have been sitting there in a robe with the tea or whatever we drank back then, and I would be talking about that stuff all day long.
I love that. No, I have to be in a mood for it. Like I love it late at night. During the daytime when I'm trying to work, I'm like, this is bullshit. Shh. Let me like I'm okay with the curtain shut on the universe. I'm okay with that. I don't mind. I'm just trying
to be productive here right now.
Right. I'm like, we're never gonna know the answers to everything. We're never gonna know why we're here, what the point is, but I got an audition to do, man. I got sides to memorize. Like now is not the time.
That's funny is that I actually thought of that driving today. I'm like, am I just like trying to figure life out for no reason? Or maybe you should just enjoy and live it. Maybe it's just not meant to be figured out. I think there's a certain degree like wisdom comes in and experience, but you're right. Yeah. We're never going to figure out because it's such a short time that we're here.
Right. Well, you might. Who knows? Keep digging for your answers. Never give up.
And then the year from now, I write this best-selling book, and you're going to want to sue me for that too.
Oh, you bastard! So talented.
This podcast just gave me like so many ideas, and this was like the catalyst for me to go create generational wealth for my family for years to come.
Enjoy it. Cut me a check. I'm good with like $100. Just I'll buy myself something nice, and go off with it. Run.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been an amazing it's so good to connect with you. I'm so glad that we were able, and this is the cool thing. Like I bash social media and technology a lot. I didn't really get into it on this as much on this one, but like this is the cool part about it. Like this is the cool part of connecting, finding each other through social media, and then, creating a conversation that we are going to put out there and share.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what social media was invented to do, Yeah. But no, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much again.
Yeah. And when I always we'll get into the last word and everything. So before we get into that, where do people need to go to find you, to listen to Origin, to any of your other music? Where's all the places people need to go to check out your stuff?
Everything is linked in my website. I just redesigned it myself, so please let me know your thoughts. It's EmmaleeRainbow.com, which is spelled EMMALEE, Rainbow. And yes, Rainbow is my real middle name. I'd just like to put that out there. Not a stage name.
It's one of the best middle names I've ever heard.
No, thanks, man. What's your middle name?
Jacob.
Oh, that's way better. Way better. You win.
Wait.
I met this kid. His first name was Seven.
Seven?
And I was like, yes, like the number. And I was like, I can't tell if I love that or if I'm going to call you something else. Like, I'm going to call you 6 just to screw with you.
See, I feel your parents did you justice though, because they gave you this cool, unique name, but they put it in the middle name, and then they gave you a more traditional name. So you got the best of both worlds.
Yeah, but Emily is spelled really weird. So I'll never have full satisfaction ever.
You're right, because I did thought it was. First, I kept reading it Emma Lee, and then you're like, no, it's Emmalee. I'm like, oh, it's Emily.
No, it can be both. Like, just I tell everyone, just call me M. Make it easier on everybody. So yeah.
Okay. And so Emily, I always give the guest the last word. It can be as deep or as shallow as you want. It can be any absolute thought you've been having. It can be a book you read. You can literally end this with whatever you want to share.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Leave us with.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is it? Well, firstly, I want to say thanks for having me. This has been fun. My last word would be that Martin Short is the greatest comedy performer of all time, and there will be no arguments with that. Martin Short for life.
Any particular movie in particular that is your favorite of his?
No further questions. Just all Martin Short ever. I love that man.
I like that. You're the first person to really leave on a statement like that, like mic drop. No explanation, just went with it.
Just Martin Short, baby. It's a way of life.
It's a way of life. I'm gonna come out with a T-shirt for that too. That's the third business idea that's just come out.
Ah, no, not again. You got me again.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Again, you're super, super talented. Yes, I will be Googling the celebrity chef stuff. I'll go on that YouTube journey later. But no, I know after getting to know you more too, not only is your music video a huge accomplishment, I can't wait to go back and watch it again now, knowing a little more of the backstory and everything. You made a film is really what you did. It just so happens to have music. It's a musical. It just has music in it. But that takes a lot of creativity and execution to bring something like that together. So you should be really proud of that.
Ma'am, I truly appreciate that. So thank you so much for your time and your honesty, and have fun with my business ideas.
Absolutely. And again, look forward to having you on again for your next projects and future endeavors as well.
I would absolutely love that. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Sounds great, Emmalee. Thanks so much.
Thank
We'll
you.
talk again soon.
Thanks
For coming on. Bye.